Mo, if you watch it, there he is.
There we are.
There he is.
Bit of technical difficulties, but nevertheless, better late than never.
Ah, nice one, mate. Well, listen, obviously, Liverpool beat Ajax 1-0 last night. And I was really excited. I know it's only 1-0, but I was really excited today. And I just wanted to speak to people, so I just reached out to you to see if you fancied having a quick chat about the game.
Yeah.
So, how did you see the overall performance? We'll break down into individual performances, after. But how did you see the overall performance? What did you think of the team?
Put it this way, it's probably not one I'm going to be skipping back to on the season review when that comes out at the end of the season. It was a bitty performance, I think it's fair to say, particularly going forward. We did a lot of good things, but it just couldn't do the last thing to put the ball in the net. But I think it's a little bit churlish to feel about that anyway right now. Most people are waking up feeling quite happy. The fact that we've got the job done, we're top of the group with a game to spare. And as I'm sure we're going to come on to, quite a few of the young fellas put themselves in the spotlight in a fantastic way.
No, they did, didn't they? And when that team lineup came out, I think the whole focus was on Kelleher, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And I mean, a little bit also on Adrian, because, I mean, let's face it, Klopp tried to be quite nice about it after the game, but there's no way this is a good news for him, is it? There's no way that this kid coming in, taking his place is good news for him. Even if it is, as Klopp says, mainly because of his footballing ability. Well, we certainly saw his all-round goalkeeping ability in this game. And not only with him doing what Klopp said in terms of getting involved with all the passing game, but he was so calm. It didn't look like it was his first game. It really didn't. It didn't look like it was a crucial game. The way he came out from crosses, sometimes even deep in the box, just kind of commanded the space and never got flustered when there was a chance. And there were a couple of times where the Ajax players have managed to get into good positions, but he was always in the right position to deal with it. It was a very, very assured debut.
It was. I mean, you mentioned it there, but it's good to just go back over it again. His distribution. It was absolutely like he was unflustered. He could pick a pass out. Some of it was very risky, but he looked comfortable.
He really did, and especially when you compare it to the performance of the other goalkeeper, Andre Onana, who's quite highly rated and then like an international Champions League regular. And he had some trouble with it. So we kind of take it for granted, I think, sometimes when we watch Alisson and Edison and other people do it so well. But it's a really important part of your armoury, particularly on days where maybe you haven't got quite the energy to transition the ball up the field through the middle. You've got to maybe look long sometimes, maybe have an out ball. And yeah, he was just perfect last night. He
really was. Just breaking into the rest of the performances, who stood out for you?
I mentioned Curtis Jones, the young lads in particular, and obviously Curtis Jones is going to get the headlines, but Nico for me, I want to big him up again. I want to give him his flowers because we've seen the performances against Brighton, him coming off, and we've seen the reaction to it, and it does seem like he's having a lot of trouble at the moment with the fact that he's simply not Trent Alexander-Arnold, and people's expectations need to be kind of leveled with that. So you can understand there are some times when he can get him down a little bit. So to see him have such an assured all-round performance, and yes, he assisted for the goal, but his defensive work, he was fantastic. He really was. He was tight when he needed to be tight, but he always was ready to go back the other side if they passed around him. Because let's not forget, Ajax are a very good technical side. They're very good at beating presses. They were anticipating us coming and pressing them and then passing around us. And they were also anticipating some of our younger guys being a little bit starstruck or maybe losing concentration. And he managed to do none of that over the course of the whole game, which I was really pleased about. And yeah, it's one of those situations where if he was at any point doubting his ability or capability to play in this team, hopefully that will give him enough confidence to go on and perform for the rest of the season.
I totally agree with that. I mean, if you haven't got confidence playing for Jurgen Klopp when Jurgen Klopp rates you, do you know what I mean? I think that could be a boost. I think I'd sing better if Jurgen Klopp said that. Who else? Who else caught your eye?
Of the other players, again, I think Joel Matip I'm always going to be a Joe Matip fan. I just always am. And we saw some of the things that he brings to the table that a lot of the other guys don't. Mainly his passing through midfield. That's the thing I love about him the most. It looks like it's going to be a risky ball, but it always finds the mark.
It's an underrated part of his game, I think, that
It
definitely.
really is. I think we think of obviously Trent and we think of Van Dijk as being good passers. Even Gomez is getting into that category as well. But when you've got a team that are trying to stifle you in the midfield, trying to stop you playing out from the back, that is the key, to be able to break those lines with one pass, to take 3 or 4 people out of the team, out of the game, sorry. And then on top of that, his defensive work, again, he was superb. And we got quite a few Jolie facial expressions, which I always love. Like, he should sell masks. Seriously, that guy should sell masks. It's like, well, when someone upsets him on the field, he just gives them one of those. Bless him. I love him so much. So yeah, I'm glad he made it through the game as well. That's another big plus.
Completely. What did you think? I thought Wijnaldum was outstanding.
Genie he has no right to still be this good. I mean, we're talking about the injuries, we're talking about the pressure and stresses being put on these footballers. He's had it more than most people because he's not only been integral for us, I think it's 4 starts in 10 days or something ridiculous. But when you think about the international break just gone where he was leading the Netherlands in the absence of Virgil van Dijk, played most of both games. So the mental toll as well as the physical, but you would never know it. You would never know it to look at him. And I'm one of those people whom I really don't want this to be a swan song. I want us to be able to look at him and say, look, this guy is still able to produce. I think they may be scared of giving someone that late in their career that long a contract, but I think the other thing you have to put into consideration is his leadership skills. He is one of the 4 leaders in that team alongside Virgil, Milner and Hendo. So I think even if he's in a situation later on in those 4 years or 3 years where he isn't playing every week, he's still going to be a vital part of that group and he can still instill those messages into them. So whatever he's asking for, just pay him.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just to go back to Curtis, I mean, where do you see Curtis's standing in the squad now, and where do you see him going at the moment?
Well, the sky's the limit for him. I think he's another one of those kids who it's almost like he has the confidence already in his play. You can see the way he plays, the way he's on the ball. But again, he's now getting a chance to prove it on a stage. He's now getting to convince lots and lots more people that he is the real deal. And I see him playing a real part. Obviously, we're short numbers-wise in midfield at the moment, so until they get the likes of Keita, Thiago, Oxlade-Chamberlain back, then maybe the second half of the season he might play a little bit less, might have to pick and choose his moments. But let there be no doubt, he was the difference maker in that game. And he will always be able to know that in that game, that crucial game that we had to win, that secured qualification, he was the guy who stepped up to the plate. And he was the man most likely for the whole game. If you think back to those 2 chances he had early on, he was the guy who was looking like he wanted to take that responsibility. And while there were some others who were maybe, I mean, I don't know, I don't want to be too harsh because they're all probably quite tired, but there was a little bit of sloppiness, a little bit of the wrong decisions being made here and there, which eventually ended up with us only getting 1 goal as opposed to 3 or 4. But Curtis was always on his game, always looking for the next opportunity. And he was tigerish in the tackle as well. I noticed a couple of times that he shrugged off some of their players. So yeah, just a wonderful performance from him.
And just, I mean, pretty much to round up, who did you pin your man of the match award on?
I mean, I went for Nico simply because I think it was one of those situations where the feelings that he would have come into the game with. But I mean, Quidin Kelleher, he pushed him so close because it's his debut, and he did. In fact, no, can they share it? I think they can share it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I think they're both old enough to drink, aren't they? Yes, they are. So yeah, I'm sure that they'll share it in their own way. But yeah, they were both fantastic.
Brilliant, man. Well, lovely to speak to you. Before I let you go, what are you getting up to with the Anfield Rat Boys at the moment? Is it
well, I'm the one. At the moment, I'm in charge of the fantasy football show, so I'm doing my research for that, even though my in-person performance hasn't been great. But I mean, it's been a lot of fun generally because we've got our own league amongst our contributors. So as you can imagine, there's quite a little bit of banter going on with that. But in general, just soaking in this fantastic team, refreshing certain pages, trying to see if I can get a chance to see them in the flesh. And yeah, just enjoy my Wednesday. Nah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not a season ticket holder, so I'm within the member side. So the chances were always slimmer in general. But I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just pleased that someone gets to go in there. I think the let off, even if it's just 2,000 people, they're going to sound like 70,000 people. I promise you that. I cannot wait, mate.
I mean, I think this is a pilot, to be honest with you, and once it's proven that it can be done with the bigger grounds, they're going to increase it. I would think at some stage to 12,500. That was always the plan at the beginning, wasn't it? But I've got no chance. I've got a season ticket, but I live in Manchester, so I'm locked down again. Been locked down since August.
I mean, I'm not even sure if we could do some kind of diddle where it's like a photo ID that kind of looks like you and a little bit like me. I'm not sure how it'll work.
It'd have to be someone with the head on upside down, I think, to be honest with you. I've got more hair.
Yeah, like I was going to say, once I've grown the beard out a little bit, then maybe we can talk.
Mo, absolutely lovely to speak to you, mate. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. You take care.
And you too, guys. Take care, man.
See you later.
Bye now.